First, I'm really grateful to be here. It's such a beautiful chapel you have, and I think like the perfect environment to pray in and be surrounded by all of the saints. As obviously you know, today, in this coming day, is St. John the Baptist, and there's, I think, so much to say for him. I think infinite things, the heights of humility that he reached, the angelic life that he shows us how to live. And I think during the hymns that focus on his relationship with Christ, because Christ comes and says, you must baptize me, and John is confused, he's almost shocked, like, how can I, maybe I'm just guessing, he would think, how could I, an unworthy sinner, even touch you, Christ, let alone baptize you, God incarnate. That's just a really radical thing. And yet, to me, this tells me in my own life with Christ, that Christ comes to me, and even though I'm completely unworthy, I'm a sinner, full of passions, always turning away from Christ, he still comes to me and asks me to, like how John did, to touch him, that he's there, and he wants to be with me. And then the humility of John, to still do something that he thought was beyond him. He still humbled himself and acted like the vessel, how St. Paul says, the treasure in earthen vessels. I recently read a book with that title, so I've been thinking about that too. And so John is this vessel that he does whatever Christ asks of him, and I think that's such a beautiful, it's not just a symbol or metaphor, it's like a reality. Because in the icon, I was looking at it during the service, and I've seen it many times, he has the wings coming behind him, showing the angelic life that he lived, but yet he holds his head with the eyes closed in his arms. So he was the one who baptized Christ and said yes to this call. And yet saying yes to that call was to follow Christ to the end, which meant his own martyrdom. And for me, I just wonder what that says for us living in this world, in this time, 2,000 years later, what it means to follow Christ to the very end, and continually say yes to him and not turn away from him, whatever that may demand of us. I think the very last thing I'll say that I've been thinking about, I think it's the chapter 3 of I don't know if it's in each of the Gospels, but at least John, I think. It's when John is telling everybody to repent, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. After that opening line, he says that I must decrease so that Christ may increase. I must decrease so that you may increase in me. And I think this is the most beautiful thing. And for the past few months, it just kind of stuck. Maybe it stuck in my heart after I read it. What this means for me as well, to decrease so that Christ may increase in me. And Christ not as some abstract concept or some, moral framework, but as an actual person. And to me, it's completely humbling to realize that I think most of the time I'm trying to increase, like the unhealthy, egotistical I, whereas Christ decreases. So I think the way I see that is that maybe it's something someone told me, maybe a prayer, a kind of prayer that really penetrated their heart, that they said, I am nothing without you, Christ. And I think that's what St. John the Baptist is telling us through his life. And especially through his interaction with Christ and then eventual martyrdom too. Thank you.